Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Sean Bock with you with Recruiter Insider Chris Walz. We were at the McDonald's All-American game this morning. We're here to give you a little bit of a background of what we saw. Interesting players, interesting ideas that we came up with, kind of thoughts we had while watching it. A bunch of capital J journos with us, and then it's College Pride Press. And so we're going to give you guys a little bit of a recap of the practice that we went to today and what we saw, what kind of players intrigued us, whether that's very highly ranked players or players that are kind of ranked lower but are still all Americans and people aren't really talking them about them a little bit. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to give our take on some unsigned players as well, and who we think is going to have the best career. It was a really fun day. Chris can agree with me on that one, even though he kind of hit Jeff Borzello's car on the way out of the parking lot. But it was still a really fun day. Got to see a lot of cool things. Got to see great players, future NBA players, NBA scouts, college scouts, all that well-known media. So we'll hop right into it. So we're going to talk about kind of Chris. What did you kind of see as you were there? It doesn't have to be a really specific player. It can kind of just be what jumped out at you when we were watching all the scrimmages and all the drills and stuff.
Yeah, so I saw, which is great to see. I saw a lot of like good team play, a lot of like the guards getting the big men involved, which when you're scrimmaging like in a practice, like 3-on-3 drills, like we saw a lot today, it's doing it. They're doing a lot of they have the ball in their hands. Good to see them getting the bigs involved. Um, we saw, and the other thing I saw, and I love to see this, a lot of defense being played. Like in an all American game, it's really more lax on the defensive end. But in this practice, like if even a few people got injured, like Trey Young, he got hit in the eye just because people like he got hit in the eye by MJ Walker just because they were playing great defense and getting all up in him, and like you just love to see like that intensity in these practices.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one because people usually don't watch any practices or all-star games because they're like lack of defense, lack of play overall. But really, we saw all of that. We saw great athleticism. Guys were going hard. It wasn't the longest practice ever, only about an hour and a half. And they did scrimmage for most of it, a little bit of 3-on-3, 3-on-3, cut the rope drill, all that kind of good stuff. But yeah, it was really fun to see all those athletes, all the top guys come together, playing very hard, realizing there's much more to showcasing their skills, obviously, to us writers and reporters and all that, but also there's NBA scouts in attendance. And I was watching the scrimmage this afternoon, like about an hour or two ago, and those guys are still going hard, man. It's not an easy week because they got practice Monday, practice today, and then scrimmage, and they got a full schedule just nonstop. And don't forget to mention the dunk contest yesterday's 3-point competition. They got a lot on their slates, and it's a lot of pressure on an 18, 19, 17, 18, 19-year-old to make a big decision like that. And you see all the fans watching, all the reporters at the game, NBA scouts. It's just a lot for them. And it's really cool to see all those guys come together and really just bust their tail to really reach their full potential and see really how they compete with top guys around the country. And I'm excited for this class. I think it's a really good class full of guards, athletic guards, and athletic big men too. You got like Mitchell Robinson, Jared Vanderbilt. We'll talk about those guys later, but really just a complete class. A lot of people were kind of thinking down on this class because the class last year was absolutely unreal with Josh Jackson, Jason Tatum, and you could say Harry Giles, but he's kind of disappointed so far. But really, this class is just a lot better than many expected it to be, and it's really showing how they performed this week and how they performed during their season. And I'm assuming in the future, especially next year, coming in as freshmen, they'll have they'll have a big role in their team no matter where they're going.
Mhm.
So we're gonna hop right into it. We're gonna talk about some notable players that we were very impressed with. I wouldn't say underrated, but I would say highly ranked players that we thought were very intriguing watching, and we had a good idea of who they were, but we didn't really get to see them play until today. So Chris, we'll go to you with this.
So the guy I was most impressed with today, was Chuck O'Bannon Jr. out of Bishop Gorman in Las Vegas. He's actually the lowest ranked player among the All Americans. But like as soon as like before practice, when he was just shooting around, like just looking at his stroke, it's very smooth. He's got great release, great arc on his shot. And his shot never wavers. So when he's going off the dribble, he's pulling up. It's the same motion every time, and so he's able to knock down like far threes or in close shots. It doesn't matter. He can do it all. Um, like he today in practice, I saw him hit a step back three in the corner on two defenders. Just hit great jump shot. His defense could use a little work. He had a tough time fighting through screens, but that'll come to him. But yeah, all around, just a great practice from him. He played really well, and I think he's the most underrated player in this class.
Yeah, I think he's gonna fit in really well at USC. From what I've saw, I think at times O'Bannon he's got a pretty decent motor. He works hard on both ends of the floor. I mean, he's not gonna wow you with his athletic ability, obviously, but he's just a very smooth player and understands the game. Obviously, I think it's his dad maybe or uncle or something like that who played at USC as well was a
Mhm.
very good player, and they're very similar in their games. So he's definitely a player to look out for in the class. I think he's going to be a very solid player. I'm excited to see his future, and obviously he retweeted both me and Chris's tweets about him
Yeah.
today. So he's already on the College Fried Press good side. So my player is Jared Vanderbilt, a forward going to Kentucky next year out of Houston, Texas. Quite honestly, I thought before watching Vanderbilt, I kind of always thought he was um, mostly an inside kind of scorer. Didn't really step out the paint to really work for a shot. But in this one, especially in the drill, the 3-on-3 drill with Quade Green and Nick Richards, um, he looked absolutely incredible. His stroke is so smooth, almost reminds me. I wouldn't say it reminds me of a Derek Willis because that's not really saying much, but Derek Willis has a great stroke. Vanderbilt, he's a little more versatile than Willis is, but I would say I could argue that he is just as great as a shooter as Willis is. And as we've seen teams in the past with Kentucky, they kind of struggle with that outside shooting, especially this year. That was their downfall. Malik Monk was kind of the guy always. I mean, Derek Willis came along as the season went on, shooting the ball, but really that was just only a couple times.
Mhm.
And to see Jared Vanderbilt, I think he'll be a great player for Coach Cal. I think he'll fit into that system really well. Obviously, in the 3-on-3 game that we saw, he played really well with Quade and Nick Richards, which is really something you want to see if you're Big Blue Nation. Um, so yeah, I think Vanderbilt. Obviously, he's pretty highly ranked, but as a whole, I didn't really know much about him coming in today. I know he was always a pretty decent player, but really just watching him practice, go through a practice and play, really intrigued me to see what he can kind of do in the future, and makes me really excited for. I mean, I'm an Indiana fan, but it makes me excited for Big Blue Nation because he is a very good player and definitely someone you're going to want to look out for in the next year or so. I think he can develop very well under Calipari. Obviously, Calipari is known for putting guys in the draft and putting them in the NBA. They're not always the most successful, but he just puts them. He just knows how to make his guys prepare for the NBA draft and really knows how to develop players into that NBA prospect that owners love, and they make a living playing basketball, playing the game they love, and that's
Mhm.
really something I think I could see with Vanderbilt in the future. So yeah, do you have any Chris? You got any other maybe notable players because I know we only touched on two, and there were definitely a couple studs out there today that kind of surprised me a little bit. I wouldn't say surprised, but really just played very well.
Yeah, I got one more. Quade Green out of Newman Goretti in Philadelphia. He's the shortest All-American point guard. Um, but his vision and his passing is phenomenal. It is up there with NBA players. Um, he just gets the ball off. He knows where his players are. He doesn't need to look. He just knows where his players will be, and that's something you want, like as a Kentucky fan, because like guys like Jared Vanderbilt and Nick Richards are going to be there, so he'll be able to distribute the ball to them easily and get them touches in the paint. So yeah, he was very impressive, and he also has the ability to step out and shoot it if he needs to. He's great at creating his own shot.
Yeah, like I mean, when I saw him play, would you kind of I don't even know if I could compare him to any current Kentucky players. I mean, I think I told you while we were watching him, who was it? I think Isaiah Briscoe a little bit. Kind of
Yeah.
kind of how they're built. They're both kind of stocky. Obviously, Briscoe's a little more on the beefy side, but they're just hard-nosed players. They understand the game and they make their opponent or their players around or their teammates better, and that's all you ask in a point guard. And I saw during the scrimmage today, he was yelling from the sidelines like
Yeah,
just
that's what I was about to say. Very vocal, which is another great trade for a point guard.
yeah, and you have, I mean, obviously De'Aaron Fox this year. I don't know, he's obviously a great talent, but would you really consider him to be a great leader? I don't know. Obviously, Kentucky was better on the floor with him, but it
Mhm.
just, I think to get over that hump, Kentucky didn't have a guy to really just take charge and lead the team. You have guys who can lead the teams by their play, but then you need a guy who can lead the team vocally and kind of tell which guys where to be what spots, and that's rare in a guy
Mhm.
at this age. And Quade obviously has that it factor. He understands the game. He knows where his teammates need to be, knows their strengths and weaknesses, and obviously that's going to be huge for him in the future
Mhm.
and Kentucky too. Another
Mhm.
player that stood out to me was Brian Bowen, the shooting guard from La Porte La Lumiere in Indiana. Um, all I can really say is that guy knows how to score. He knows how to score the ball. He knows how to put the ball in the bucket. Can do just about anything you ask, and he's not gonna wow. I mean, he's athletic. I'll give it to him, but he's not gonna wow you in the way you'd see guys like I don't know, Colin Sexton maybe, um, Trayvon Duval, Jalen Hands. I mean, those guys are very athletic, but Bowen, he just does it the right way. He understands where he needs to be on the court. He understands his strengths. Great shooter, very good shooter, and he just has a knack for the game. I remember watching him against New Albany with Romeo Langford early on in the year, and granted, New Albany, Romeo Langford's team doesn't have many Division One prospects besides him, but Bowen just absolutely just he played so well. He's just so efficient. Knows how to create his own shot. Knows how to create his own shot for others, and really, he's going to be a steal. I was talking to one of the SB Nation guys from Arizona today, and I'm not sure. He wants Brian Bowen. I mean, who doesn't want Brian Bowen? He's a great talent, but I'm pretty sure, Chris, you said it was between him and or it was between Arizona and Michigan State, correct?
Yes, and he's leaning toward Michigan, more towards Michigan State, according to Scouts.com.
Bro, you can't, no, no, do not listen to those things. They had Tremont Waters 100% going to IU and not Georgetown,
I'm
like where he
salty
ended up.
about that.
Not salty, dude. Just facts. Just facts. It's ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, I could easily see him in either a Spartans uniform or Arizona with Sean Miller. Uh, Great scorer. I mean, I've said that so many times because he really is. And I think with his decision, I think he's waiting to see if Miles Bridges leaves for the draft because I know Miles Bridges coming into the season was a very hot prospect in the NBA. His stock kind of dropped a little bit when he got hurt, but then as really the season after that, he started to come into his own a little bit. And I looked at Draft Express yesterday thinking that maybe he'd be like top 25, top 30, but I saw he was number 11. I was like, wow,
Mhm.
that really stood out to me. I mean, he's got potential to be an NBA player, but I'd like to maybe see him another year to come in and kind of develop under Tom Izzo and stuff without being injured. But I wonder how much that has to play into Bowen's decision. Then obviously with Arizona, you have Alonzo Trier, sophomore point guard who didn't play that much this year, who is obviously they're very similar in their games, have a great knack for scoring the ball. It'll be interesting to see if Bowen picks one of those schools, which it seems to be. He's in between them, but who knows at this point? You can have he can either have these guys go to the draft or they stay another year. Who knows? Um, just hope for the best for him. He's going to be a great player either way. What else? So we're going to talk about maybe a little bit some unsigned players that were in the draft or that are in the game. There's actually a couple. There's what, six maybe? Six or seven?
Yeah, just about 6, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of there's pretty high prospects too, pretty decent names.
Yep.
You got Trayvon Duval, um,
Bamba.
Mo Bamba. He's a oh my goodness, he's a freak. We saw
Yep.
it. This is really bad radio right here, but we saw Mo Bamba. I saw there's a video of him somewhere. Oh yeah, check out the Baller Visions mixtape. Me and Chris are on that. We have our own mixtape basically. But yeah, Mo Bamba. So basically, yeah, it's hard. This is bad, really bad radio. So obviously Mo Bamba, 7'9" wingspan. He literally takes the ball, kind of cradles it a little bit, and just extends his arms somehow, some way, and finishes the layup. And it was one of the most like, what the heck just happened?
Yep.
Dude, he was considering Harvard at one point too. He's like an A+ student. He's an absolute freak. Like he's crazy. He's a freak of nature. That'd be awesome if he stayed all 4 years somewhere. I mean, I highly doubt he would,
Mhm.
but I mean, he's leaning toward, or he's got his like top four is like Kentucky. Well, obviously Kentucky. Drawing a blank. I should have wrote this down.
It's Kentucky, Duke, Michigan, and Texas, and I'm thinking the top 2 are Duke and Kentucky.
That's a surprise, but yeah, I could see him. I could see him fitting in both those places.
Mhm.
Um, it's just scary to think that if he goes to Kentucky, it's going to be like him, Vanderbilt, Quade,
Mhm.
Richards. Like
Yeah, that's
this year's team is good, but next year's team, like oh my goodness, that would just be absolutely insane. Because
Mhm.
they're just so complete up and down the lineup. Oh my goodness. So yeah,
Mhm.
I could see Bamba. I could see Bamba at Kentucky definitely. Um, who else? We got um, should have been a little more prepared. Kevin Knox. Kevin
Mhm.
Knox. He was just at he had an official visit at Duke before the McDonald's All American Week. I heard he's really liked Duke. Obviously, with Coach K, it's hard not to like going down to Durham and being treated like a prince. But he's like I've been hearing comparisons. Obviously, he's a great scorer, great player overall. But really, it's just I think he relies a little bit too much on his set shot, catch and shoot,
Mhm.
and that was definitely the issue with him. I mean, he's gotten better at off the bounce, but yeah, he's really got to improve that because there's really no player in the NBA, like not even JJ Redick at Duke, who is just a set shooter and turns out to be a great player. Um, so really, Kevin Knox, the key for him, he's got a big body. He's got if you can shoot with his body built and his height, that's you should use that as an asset. You gotta be able to put the ball on the floor too, and create for yourself and other players. And he's got all the potential in the world to do that. And he's got a chance to be an absolute stud wherever he goes. I heard he's been talking with Missouri a little bit because
Mhm.
Michael Porter he really wants to play with Michael Porter, but who knows? Who knows where he's at right now? Obviously, I could see him going to Duke totally. They're the front runner right now, but that would be absolutely insane. Connor Lagori would go absolutely nuts if he went to Mizzou. If he went to Mizzou, oh my goodness, that would be that. What? So Porter's a forward. That'd be like no, it wouldn't be Jordan Pippen. That's an unfair comparison.
Well, I
Well, I
mean,
mean,
Porter
Porter
can
can
also
also
play a
play a
little
little
point
point
forward. He's
Yeah.
got good ball handling, good enough at least that he can do that. So yeah, but it'd definitely be interesting to see how if Knox went to Mizzou, how they fit in both those two into like starting roles and where they'd be.
Yeah, I mean it's a really far long shot. I mean it's a long shot, but yeah, I mean who knows? Anything can happen on the recruiting trail. Um, it could be either he surprises everyone, shocks the world, goes to Missouri, and him and Michael Porter team up to be one of the best freshman duos in the country, or he could go to Duke, be a role player, still be in contention for a national championship. Who knows? I have a feeling he's just going to commit to Duke like tomorrow or something. Who knows? Couple others players we talked earlier about Brian Tuggs Bowen. We don't have to go too much into him. MJ Walker, kind of a guy no one really is really talking about that much. I think he's between Florida State, Kansas, Maryland. Uh, he's not really your typical electric scorer, I would say. Well, I mean, he can score. He's very physical, big guy. He's a bruiser. He doesn't have the
Yeah.
best outside shot, but really he makes it work. It's going to be interesting to see how he adapts to the NCAA level because obviously he can't bully around kids like he does in high school. But
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, who knows? I'm not really familiar with him, but after seeing him a little bit today, I could see him being a decent 2 or 3, maybe 4 year player, which you don't really see often. But that'd be really cool to kind of kind of see him develop a little bit. And then who was the last one you want to talk about?
Trayvon Duval is the other really big name that hasn't committed yet. Obviously, just like everyone else, Duke is atop his list, and so are Arizona and Kansas. If he went to Duke, I mean, their class is amazing already. That it should just be an unreal year for them. I mean, I know we talked about Duke being unreal this year, and then that didn't happen with all the injuries and Grayson's tripping incidents. Um,
Yeah.
but if they stay healthy like this year and Duval commits, it should be another Final Four run and possibly another national championship for Duke, no doubt.
Oh yeah, we said no doubt at the beginning of the year, man. I
Yeah.
could Yeah, I mean, I don't know with Duke. Obviously, this year everyone's like, "Oh, Duke, Harry Giles, Jason Tatum, Marquise Bolden," and those guys basically didn't like. The only guy that did anything really was Jason Tatum, and that was more towards the end of the season. But yeah, I mean, Duke's got a decent class coming in. They have Wendell Carter, um, hopefully Kevin Knox, possibly Kevin Knox, Gary Trent, like what we saw today. Matt Jones 2.0, except with a little more talent, can do a little bit of everything. Um, who else they got coming? They got, I think that's about it as far as McDonald's go. And then they got Alex O'Connell,
Yeah.
the next white guy that everyone's going to hate at Duke. Um, he's kind of a skinny little. He's a little pest. It seems he talks a lot on the floor. He's not very physically gifted, but he knows how to put the ball in the bucket. Can't blame him. It's what the game's all about: buckets and trash talk. Him and Grayson Allen might be the like most punchable duo on in college basketball if
Yep.
O'Connell sees the floor. But yeah, I mean, who knows? Duke's always got a great class coming in. I think they're number 3 or 4 maybe in ESPN,
Hmm.
something around there. Because I know it's
Yeah.
UCLA and then Kentucky. But Yeah, I mean, who knows? Duke always has a good class. Wendell Carter, obviously. Um,
Mhm.
he's just a beast. He's an animal. Can't He's a matchup problem, like I said. He can't. He's going to be great. I don't know if he'll be great. I saw a couple tweets that said he's only going to he's going to set screens and ride the bench at Duke, and I was like, okay, really? You think that? And then I look at the guy's profile. It's a North Carolina fan. What else? Definitely just salty. So, um, yeah. So there's a couple of highly touted prospects, or some that kind of caught our eye. I can't speak today, but so we're kind of going against the order we were going in. So we're just gonna keep talking, uh, just about what we saw. Um, Obviously, some very intriguing prospects. We sat next to a couple big time beat writers, which was pretty cool. Um, so yeah, Chris, you got more stuff. I know you do.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back to another player that stood out to me because all I've heard about this guy was that he's very inconsistent and that his jump shot was iffy. Um, I'm talking about Lonnie Walker, out of Reading High School in Pennsylvania. He's commitment to Miami. Um, he uh he has great athleticism, but once he starts to get going, once he starts hitting shots, you can't stop him. He made, I want to say, four threes in a row just in the scrimmage today. Like once he heats up, he's hard to stop, and so he can pose a huge problem for the rest of the ACC when he's down in Miami.
Yeah, I mean, then they have what's his name, Chris Likes coming in too, the
Yep.
pretty short point guard. Oh my goodness, those guys are gonna be absolutely electric in that backcourt. That's gonna be insane. I'm super excited for this season. Oh my goodness, this season's ending, but wow, it's gonna be absolutely incredible. I'm so excited for this class. But um, what else? There's so much we could talk about. We kind of just did this on the fly. We have really no preparation or anything. We're just kind of putting it all at the top of our head. But a class I want to talk about a little bit is the number two um, class in the country, according to ESPN, UCLA. Obviously, Jalen Hands, one of the top point guards in the nation. He's not physically gifted in any sense, but he is so quick and just an absolute. He's a great playmaker. Understands the game. He's got limitless range. He can shoot it from just about anywhere. And he just knows how to take over the games. He's going to have great weapons around him. Chris Wilkes, obviously, I think he'll develop into something. He's kind of got raw talent. Um, but yeah, I know Chris. I know you wanted to talk about Jalen a little bit, so
Yeah.
back
One
on.
thing I really noticed, like you said, he's not the biggest guy, he's not the most physically gifted. Um, but he plays very physical for his size. He's not afraid to get up into any other player. He's not afraid of anyone. He will guard anyone if he has to. He's just ultra competitive and very physical. And I mean, I love that in a point guard, someone that never quits and just keeps going and has that constant motor. And also, like Quade Green, he has very good vision. He just knows where his teammates are going to be. He doesn't need to look. I mean, he could throw all his passes behind the back and no look if he wanted to, and he'd still complete all of them. I mean, just an all around solid player, and UCLA is just getting a nice point guard.
I was thinking the most logical lineup for UCLA next year is going to be put Jalen Hands on the bench. Actually, granted, put everyone on the bench and just play LiAngelo Ball the whole game, just by himself 1-on-5, because I'll guarantee a national championship. And what he says goes. And obviously, LiAngelo is coming to Westwood next year,
Mhm.
and he's basically God according to LeVar. So he's going to do
Yeah.
just about he can win a national championship for him. But in all seriousness, UCLA is going to be stacked once again next year. Um, they won't have Lonzo, so they'll probably start to play defense. But Yeah, Jalen Hands, obviously, um, he gives you a little bit of everything. Can play D, great offensively, very smart, just knows the game. And then you got Tom Welsh coming back next year, the mid-range maestro, according to Bill Walton. But yeah, I mean, I could go into it, but I'm not going to because I'd be here forever. But I'm really excited for UCLA next year. Hopefully, they can start playing some defense. And I think a big reason for my anticipation with them is probably Jalen Hands. He's gonna be a great player. He's gonna he's not gonna be afraid of going up against bigger guys, and he'll be a stud. I'm excited for him. Then another guy we can talk about, kind of comparing him, is Trey Young, Oklahoma.
Hmm.
Obviously, we didn't get to see too much of him today because he got poked in the eye or something like that. I don't know what exactly it was, but he's gonna be a good talent too. Similar to Jalen, he can do a little bit. He can do a little bit of everything. Averages 43 points in high school, but who knows how many shots he takes. He could be like LaMelo or something like that, and just heave up half court shots whenever he wants to. But um, so he was a fun time or player to watch. And then who else? Colin Sexton. You can talk about
Oh
him, Chris.
yeah.
I'll let you take him.
Sexton, you pointed this out, and it was a great observation. He's very good in the pick and roll in the two-man game. He just makes smart decisions off of that. Um, every they did a pick and roll drill, and every time, like, either he passed it off for a layup or he shot and scored. I mean, he's got a great IQ and he's got great instincts, so he'll react to things quickly as he's seeing them, which will help him going up against like a team like Kentucky in the SEC against like Quad A Green with another team, a team with great players and great guards. He'll just be able to react on the fly. Um, yeah, that's pretty much Colin Sexton. And also, he's got very good arm strength, so he can make stretch passes if he needs to. He reminds me a lot of Russell Westbrook. I know that's kind of far out there because he's only a high school kid, but he plays angry just like Russell
Yeah.
Westbrook. And he's also very explosive and very hard to guard, and he's got elite range as a shooter.
Yeah, I mean Colin Sexton and Avery Johnson. That's gonna be one of the funniest player coaching duos to watch
Mhm.
next year. Those guys are absolute two nut jobs, and it's gonna be so it's gonna be hilarious because I feel like Avery's gonna have no control over Sexton. That dude just he's an absolute nut. He
Yeah.
said hi to me before the game or before practice, so Chris can back me up on that one because
Yeah.
I know he was talking to me. But yeah, he's going to be a high energy player. That Alabama recruiting class. I know our good friend at College Hoop News, Tony Patelis. Um,
Mhm.
he gets so annoyed because all these Bama fans are talking nonstop about their recruiting class coming next year and how they're basically going to win a national championship. I mean, who knows? Who knows? We'll probably talk about that as the year goes on, or as we get closer to the season. But yeah, I mean, Colin Sexton's a great start to that incoming class. He's everything you want in a point guard, guy who plays hard. I mean, granted, he won't shut up sometimes, but
Mhm.
that's just who he is. Can't take away from him. He's a great player. That's all you ask. Guy who plays hard, guys who know the game and just play hard and do anything to win. So that's very intriguing. But I think another player too that I really I enjoyed watching was DeAndre Ayton. He's kind of, I mean, quietly, I don't know how you could say this. He's quietly the number one or number two player in the class. And
Yep.
when I saw him, he was just absolutely manhandling people. You can't say enough. He's definitely got room to develop. He could be a great player. Sean Miller's known for developing his front courts, obviously, with Lauri Markkanen and Dusan Ristic, Aaron Gordon, all those guys.
Mhm.
Um, he's Arizona's gonna be a good spot for him, and I'm excited to see what he brings to the Pac-12, the Conference of Champions. I think Bill Walton will be a big fan of him. I hope that's the case, but who knows? It'll be this class is like I said earlier, it's gonna be so much fun to follow because it's our class. We're 2017 high
Mhm.
school graduates, so it's kind of weird talking about guys that are the same age as us. But who cares? It's college basketball. These guys are the best at what they do,
Yeah.
and I'm excited to follow them the next couple years as CPP grows to beating ESPN in terms of ratings and college basketball in general. You guys are going to hear a lot about these players, so it's gonna be a lot of fun. Our last segment, so I can stop just blabbing on. Um, we're going to talk about the player who we think is going to have the best. I wouldn't. Do you want to talk about college career to go along with that, or just pro career?
Um, why don't we do college career too?
Okay, all right. That kind of changes it up a little bit, but for me, that's tough. Um, I could see Trayvon Duval being a beast. The only problem is his physical stature. He's a great leader. Um, could see him growing up to be or growing into be one of those players who in the NBA. I wouldn't say Steve Nash, but I mean obviously Duval is very gifted athletically. Um, but I don't know. I could see him being a solid NBA player. Quade Green as well. I think that's who I'm thinking of when I think of Steve Nash. Someone, I mean, Quade is great athletically, but he's a leader. Um, and leaders usually are the ones who have successful NBA careers. Brian Scalabrine, for example, he was a great leader off the bench, on the bench, all that. But um, so yeah, I think those two. I mean, that's a tough question, really, because all these guys have so much potential, and there's really not one that sticks out to me. I mean, you could say Michael Porter because everyone knows who Michael Porter is, but I don't know. Like, he's got. I'm not. I know Connor's gonna hate me for this, but I'm just not sold on the Michael Porter hype.
Yeah, he's
Uh,
not. He can shoot and he's great on the offensive end, but sometimes it seems like the effort's not there, and defensively he needs to improve. Like that's just not like he could improve. He needs to go up against other great college players.
yeah, I feel like he was really sheltered as a kid. I mean, I could be biting my words on. I should be biting my tongue, but I don't know if he'll be listening to this. Hopefully not. But um, yeah, I don't know with him. Like I watch all his mixtapes and stuff, and he's gifted athletically, obviously. This I don't know if he was dealing with an injury or something, or maybe the pressure, like all that's going on with him switching over to Missouri. Who knows? It could be something. I have no idea, but he just did not look very happy to be at practice yesterday or today. He was complaining about calls, all that. So, I mean, you can't. Yeah, like I said, or like I know like you can't judge a player on one practice or one game, but from what I saw today, if that's like a common trend with him, yeah, then I don't know if I could buy stock in his pro career. But he could be a great college player. He could be a great NBA player. I hope the best for him, but I just don't know if he has the mindset of there are guys out there who are after me and I have to prove that I can keep myself together and work hard and just keep plugging away and know that I can't rely on my rankings or my talent from high school to give me that extra boost in the NBA. Because considering that he is ranked so high, there are guys that are going to come after him every night and prove that they're better than him. So, yeah, I mean, a little slight rant about Michael Porter, but Chris, we'll finally go to you about your prospect or your All American that think that is going to have the best career in
Um,
college and the NBA.
so I think Gary Trent Jr. will have an outstanding career in collegiately and professionally. Like you said, Matt Jones 2.0 for Duke. He's great
Mhm.
defensively. Like he beat up Michael Porter, who is a few inches taller than him, and he can also D up point guards. He's just so versatile on the defensive end. And then also he's just great shooter, number one shooting guard in the class. So he has that great defense combined with scoring ability that not a lot of players can provide. Like we just talked about Porter, he's not that great defensively, but he can
Mhm.
shoot well. But Gary Trent has both, so that's what that's why I think he'll be great collegiately and professionally. And then also, um, Nick Richards from the Patrick School in New Jersey. Um, he's not like he won't like score a lot of points on you, um, but he'll do what's asked of him. He'll score if he needs to. He'll rebound. He'll shot block. All of that. But the first thing you really notice about this guy is his physical build. He's not built like normal like centers and like power forwards are. He's almost like built like the Hulk, but just a little taller. Like
Yeah.
he's just very physically impressive, and he can step out, shoot threes, do whatever he needs to do. Um, so yeah, I think like he won't wear down easily, like playing physically in college and the pros. So I think that'll help him in the future. Whereas someone like the smaller guys, like um, maybe even like Jared Vanderbilt, who's a little small, who's not as strong as him, how they might wear down quicker.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree exactly like what you're saying. I think, yeah, I really like Jared Vanderbilt's game too. Um, I think he could develop into something very special. Obviously, like we saw today, it's a great starting point. He's got such a smooth jump shot. It is so pretty. Like that's something I'm really excited for to see him develop and do a great player. And then Nick Richards too, because I think Cal can kind of bring those guys into this system. Uh, I mean, you saw with Bam, obviously a top recruit last year. Came in, everyone was like, "Ah, Bam, number one center in the class. He's gonna be an absolute stud." Um, and really, throughout the year, he didn't show he didn't prove his stock by on the stat sheet, but some of the little things he did to help out his team, I think, is what means the most to the success that Kentucky had, obviously. And really, I just think Richards is going to step into that role. And who knows, maybe he'll team up with Bamba too. And that'll be a very talented front court with those two. And then obviously with Green, floor general, maybe even a little Tyler Eulis 2.0 with a little more talking. But yeah, I mean, it really depends on who else they can get in this class because you still have Quad A, you got Jared Richards, and then PJ Washington, who we forgot to mention, who is
Mhm.
another McDonald's All American, who's gonna be he's kind of a he's kind of a bruiser like we talked about earlier with MJ Walker, but PJ Washington, I think he'll develop into something. Obviously, he's not the most talented on the offensive floor, but
Mhm.
he's got the tools. I mean, and Cal can develop these guys into something special. Um, we might see that little 5 in, 5 out substitution that he thought was absolutely going to be amazing. Who knows? It kind of depends on who stays, who doesn't. I don't imagine De'Aaron Fox or Malik Monk staying. Uh, I don't know if I could see Bam staying either. Obviously, you have Derek Willis going too. And then don't forget you got McDonald's All Americans on the bench. I mean, Wenyan Gabriel, um, Sasha Jones, or something like that. I mean, there's a reason we didn't see these guys because I can't remember their name, but it's just incredible to see year in year out how he brings these guys in. And I mean, granted, you got some of his guys that were played for Kentucky that didn't play as much, like Kyle Wilcher. He went on to start at Gonzaga. That just proves how much talent is on that team, and we're just not seeing it because those guys are parked away on the bench, sitting next to Brad Calipari. Um, and yeah, it's just incredible to see. I hope all these guys get a good shot to play. I think they'll all be talented players. Uh, I hope Indiana plays them. I want that Indiana-Kentucky rivalry again, but who knows? That's not what's important. But yeah, like I said earlier, this class is going to be absolutely really, really cool. Cool is not, I don't know why I said cool there, but they're just gonna be so talented. I mean, I've been just sitting here in my chair, gazing out the window, just talking about how talented this class is gonna be. And since we saw them in person, it's so cool to like realize that, yeah, we're gonna witness history with this class. And I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm excited for the game tomorrow. Chris, I know you are. Do you got anything else to say before we kind of wrap things up a little bit?
Not really. Just like you said, I'm the same way. I'm just really excited for this class. Um, this class is really competitive. Like we saw in practice, they're really competitive with each other and they're pushing each other to be better. And so that'll only make for better players come next season. I'm just really excited, like you, to see this class go through college and play.
Yeah, the 1 year potential one and dones, but who knows? We could see a couple, maybe 2 or 3, 4 year player guys. I doubt we'll see any four, but um, yeah, I'm just excited to see how this class pans out. Obviously, you got guys from last year's class, Harry Giles, who didn't really pan out the way we thought he would, but hey, he's going to the NBA draft. He just announced today. And then you got guys like Jason Tatum, obviously number 2 player in the class, played very well towards the end of the year. Didn't really do much. And I mean, I'm going on the Duke train a little bit. Then you got Marquise Bolden too, who was also McDonald's All-American. Barely saw the floor this year. I mean, he was injured, but still barely saw the floor. And I think it's going to be very interesting to see how these coaches from their respective schools use these players. And hopefully we don't see guys like Bolden or them or even Giles just parked on the end of the bench. Or I wouldn't say parked on the end of the bench, but not seeing the floor as often as they'd like to and really not making a huge impact because they're so highly touted coming out of high school. And that's the thing that stinks about going to a big time program. Um, you're McDonald's All American, you've been a stud your whole life. You come into a college with other All Americans, and you don't see the floor as well or as often, and that's just a testament to show how much talent is coming into college basketball, how much the game is changing, and really just the impact the one and done has kind of had on college basketball because no guys got you see guys from Kentucky and Duke. Obviously, their goal is to go 1 year and then they're gone. And then you see that with Lonzo Ball on first take the other day. They asked him, "Was your plan to go to UCLA, see how you liked it, and stay maybe a year or two, an extra year or two?" He's like, "No, I just wanted to leave right away." And I'm wondering if that's kind of the approach to some of these other players. Obviously, to the Ball family, regardless of how much they play. But yeah, I'm just excited to see what this class can bring to college basketball. Obviously, the class from this year has a lot to is a high name to kind of catch up with to live up to. But I mean, I've been going on a rant all podcast, Chris. I kind of feel bad. I've been talking a ton
It's fine.
because it's just my recruiting's my thing. I love it.
Yep.
So that's about all we got for you guys today. Thanks for joining us. We will have plenty of content about recruiting in the summer. Well, obviously the season's not over yet with the Final Four. We did a podcast yesterday, so make sure you go check that out on iTunes and the site. So yeah, it's going to be a really fun game tomorrow. I'm super excited. Chris and I put in a lot of work to make this thing possible. If you had told us like a month or two ago that we'd be at the McDonald's All-American game with top-notch journalists, including ourselves, I would have told you you're crazy. But it's been a ride. It's been a lot of fun. We're excited to get some content going out in the off season. Should be a lot of good articles, news, all that. We'll keep it consistent, try our best. helping College Pride Press grow and helping you guys give the best college basketball news out there. So we're excited for that. Chris, thanks for coming on with me today. I know, like I said, I did a lot of talking, um, but you gave some great insight, and I can't wait till the off season covering a ton of recruiting. It'll be a lot of fun. So thanks again, guys, for listening, and hope you guys got a good one. Have a great Final Four weekend, and have a great off season. We'll be planning to hear from you guys this off season, what you expect for teams next year in terms of recruiting and all that. So thanks again, and have a great week.